the middle of September. Most of the flowers have gone. Blackberry blossoms have turned to blackberries, roses have turned to rose hips. There's not a lot of food for bees around. And that makes this the perfect time to find a new arrival in Britain, a bee that was first seen in 2001 but has been taking the country by storm. And unlike many bits of wildlife in our country these days, they're not that hard to find because there's a massive colony just here. This is Steve Dealey for Wild Walks, in search of Britain's ivy mining bees. This is an ivy mining bee. First sighted in Dorset in 2001, it was only identified as a separate species in 1993. It's one of Britain's so-called solitary bees. When we think of bees, we tend to think of honeybees, which live in large hives of up to 80,000 bees. Bumblebees tend to live in colonies too, of perhaps 400 bees, where every bee is one of the queen bee's offspring. But astonishingly, for a kind of bee that most people have never heard of, Britain has 250 species of solitary bee, and they are 93% of all Britain's bee species. Living very independent lives, ivy mining bees build their own nests, find their own food, and raise their own offspring. But they do aggregate together in these large colonies. None of the male bees can sting. The females can, but it's a mild sting, often compared to a stinging nettle, so these colonies, while they look frightening, are not dangerous. Ivy mining bees have a clever strategy. By emerging late in the year, there are very few flowers for other bees to feed off. So most other bees have given up on the year now and they've already packed their bags and gone away. The ivy mining bee emerges later and it goes for the pollen of the ivy flower, which is one of the last blooming flowers of the year. So they have the field pretty much to themselves. Living as a flying insect for just 6 weeks, the female will dig a nest hole into sandy soil that can be up to 60 centimetres long. At the end of this tunnel, she digs 6 or 8 small cells, into each of which she lays eggs, with male eggs, which will hatch first, nearer to the entrance. She then emerges from the nest, leaving it unguarded, while she goes in search of pollen. It can take a whole day of foraging to provision each cell. When she has supplied each egg with pollen, she will secrete a plastic-like material over the entrance and seal it. Shortly afterwards, she will die. Her offspring will never meet their parents. Male ivy mining bees emerge first at around the end of August, and the females emerge 3 to 4 weeks later. So this cloud of male bees is all hovering around, waiting to try and be the first to latch on to a newly emerged female. This cloud of oversexed males is desperate to mate. And so the way you can identify a female is that the minute an unmated female emerges, a cloud of males will descend. They will wrap around her in a ball, all of them desperately trying to mate with her. And often you'll see a ball of bees roll down the slope here. When you remember that the females have only just hatched, they are literally newborns, to emerge from the nest and be pounced upon by a gang of ardent males seeking to mate with her can't be a very nice experience. So there you are, in a quiet English woodland on a sandy bank, one of the world's great wildlife spectacles. This is Steve Dealey for Wild Walks. Thanks for watching.